What's going on, everybody out there, and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another top 5 video. I had so much fun doing last week's top 5, and I know a lot of you out there also enjoyed it, so I figured let's do another one. And in this video, I'm going to be sharing my top 5 favorite series that were made and are being made by IDW Publishing. So let's waste no time and get into the top 5. Number 5, and in my opinion, the best way to kick off this top 5 goes to Lock and Key, written by Joe Hill. I love this series from beginning to end. Yes, this is the only series on my top 5, unfortunately, that is no longer going on in IDW. However, from time to time, IDW will do a one-shot that pertains to a certain time period in the Locke family house. And this is a series I've recommended highly to a lot of people. Recently, Lock and Key actually just released its first season on Netflix and got a second season already confirmed. So a lot of people might be interested in reading this series. Now, the one difference between the Netflix series and the comic series is it's a bit darker, the comic series. It has a awesome mix of adventure, sci-fi, horror, and it's all mixed into one. Again, this is Joe Hill, the son of Stephen King, who's written and had many films such as Pet Sematary, It, and so on. Joe Hill is the equivalent of him in comic form, and Joe Hill's gone on to do his own imprint now with DC Comics. But back to Lock and Key. Lock and Key is my favorite, is one of my favorite series that I love to go back to, and I always tell everybody to buy it in hardcover trade because it is a blast to read. I know I recommended it to Mike Spiderslayer before he watched the Netflix series, and he enjoyed it a lot. The story follows the Locke family after their father is killed, and they inherit the Locke family home. And as they go into the home, they find out that that home is more than meets the eye. There are keys in there that do special magical things. And then there's also a well, and there's something really not nice trapped down in the well. And that's how the series kicks off. And you find out secrets, you find out. I love how they rewind the past and you see certain friends of Bode's father. I'm going to use Bode's name. There's a bunch of other characters. You see the father when he was younger, and there is a whole story surrounding his teenhood and the Locke family house and the keys and everything else. And it's really, really cool. And the way it unfolds, every arc is a different chapter. They start over again. It's issues 1 through 5, 1 through 6. And like I said, again, it reads best in trade, but the story in whole, once you have all the trades and you read it from the very beginning to the very end, it has the strongest ending. And in my opinion, it's a series that everyone should give a try to. I think anyone will pick this series up and like it, in my opinion. Again, it depends on your taste, but I think this is a great way to introduce, first of all, to introduce yourself to Joe Hill's writing, and then secondly, to introduce yourself to IDW Publishing. Number 4, this goes to G.I. Joe. I love G.I. Joe, growing up with G.I. Joe, the cartoon, Real American Hero, and G.I. Joe, and Cobra was a series that IDW has been doing for many years. And recently, the Hasbro series all came together in this big mashup with Transformers, ROM, like I said, G.I. Joe. And what happened was, recently G.I. Joe ended and is now being relaunched again, rebooted as well. And now, basically, Cobra has taken over the United States. They assisted the United States, and now they've kind of assumed command. And now G.I. Joe has to find a way to take Cobra out of power. So what's happening is you're getting all the classic G.I. Joes, but now they're looking to enlist new people to help them in their vendetta to stop Cobra. So far, the new series has reached I believe it's issue 5. Really strong run. If you're a fan of G.I. Joe, you'll love it. I am a fan of Snake Eyes. I love Snake Eyes. I love Duke. These are characters I grew up with, and I feel IDW Publishing does an amazing job bringing those cartoon characters to life in their books with amazing artwork to boot, and the variant covers and covers to these series to all the G.I. Joe series are amazing. Definitely something, if you are a fan that likes to shout, "Yo, Joe," you're definitely going to want to check this series out. Number 3 goes to Transformers. Transformers has gone through many phases, actually 3 to be precise, before being rebooted recently in, it's not 4th phase, but it's now rebooted phase. And before that, though, when IDW first got Transformers had a first phase, which was basically everything we knew from the cartoons. Again, this is another cartoon I grew up with. And then we went into phase 2 where Optimus Prime, where finally Cybertron is now at peace. Optimus Prime dies or goes away. And the book splits into 2 different stories, More Than Meets the Eyes and Robots in Disguise. One following Bumblebee on Cybertron and the other following Hot Rod off on a quest to find the lost titans of Cybertron. And eventually, of course, these 2 series end up colliding back again. And Optimus Prime comes back. A semi-event happens. Megatron becomes a Autobot. Believe it or not, yes, the Decepticons end, and peace finally starts to happen on Cybertron. But then you have Unicron. And that was the end of the full 3 phases of Transformers. And then, just like G.I. Joe, Transformers rebooted. And we are currently starting off all the way at the beginning. Once again, Cybertron is in its peace era. And now, slowly, the Decepticons are forming and rising. And Megatron has now assumed control of the Decepticons. And currently what's going on is, I believe the Decepticons have come out finally. But still, we do not have Optimus Prime yet. He's still Orion Pax. We have Nova Prime, who is the current Prime. So it's a fun it's a fun start over for Transformers. I've been having a blast reading it. As far as like what do you call it, the series now, we're getting a brand new, unlike G.I. Joe, which there was a beginning with the Joes, and now they're looking to enlist others to knock Cobra down. This is a full rewind, reboot, restart. This is all the way back at the beginning. There is no before that's happened. Nothing from the past has impacted this series. We're starting fresh, and I think for new readers, this is a perfect time to jump on board. However, when it comes to Transformers, I always give the one warning to everyone. There is a lot of reading involved with Transformers. Even at the beginning of the series, when it first started off, things were nice and things flowed. But as time moved on, the dialogue definitely kicked it into high gear. But again, looking over the dialogue, the artwork for the series is great. And the story, like I said, we're starting over all over again. A perfect time for new readers to jump in. Number 2, and this shouldn't surprise anybody, goes to Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters had an ongoing series for a while with IDW a couple of years ago, which ended. Then we started up again with Ghostbusters International. Then we started up again with Ghostbusters. I cannot remember for the life of me what the series was for a time. But now currently with IDW, instead of getting an ongoing series, Ghostbusters are getting mini-series. Right now what's going on, we have Ghostbusters Year 1, which recaps how the Ghostbusters formed, how they met each other, how they went into parapsychology, and ultimately what turned them into the Ghostbusters. As they're doing this interview with this reporter, during the interview, this takes place after the first Ghostbusters movie. So the Ghostbusters are established, but the reporter's getting the backstory to how they got established and how they became the Ghostbusters. And it's cool because there are little nods to the actual second movie, because after the first movie, they all went their separate ways for a time. So Ghostbusters is an amazing series. If you're a fan of the series, I was a fan of not only the movies, but the cartoon. A lot of these, if you notice, other than my number 5, a lot of these are cartoons I grew up with or movies I grew up with. And Ghostbusters is no exception. The artwork in the book is amazing. The stories they tell are fun. I feel like they catch the characters, all of them, from Peter Venkman down to Egon, perfectly. And it's a series that I wish would have an ongoing, but I'm just happy that it's still going on in miniseries, in miniseries format. Like I said, right now we got Year 1. The hardcovers to all the series I'm mentioning, except for Lock and Key, are super hard. The IDW hardcovers are super hard to come by, but the trades are super easy to come by. The single issues are, to a lot of these series, still available in stores. I think the hardest to find would be Lock and Key, maybe. So, but with Ghostbusters, should not be hard to find. It is a pleasure to read if you're a fan of the series. Even if you don't know the Ghostbusters, this might be the perfect time to jump on with year one, because this will introduce you not only to the characters, but to the art and to the universe. And then you could always go back and check out the previous trades, previous issues. It's just a fun read, and again, it's Ghostbusters. Enough said. Number 1, and this should shock no one, goes to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Kevin Eastman originally signed off the rights to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles to Nickelodeon, who then reached out to IDW Publishing, who then made it into a comic series written by Tom Waltz with help later on. Tom Waltz did the writing throughout most of the first arc, I believe, and then Kevin Eastman jumped in with Tom Waltz, and together they wrote Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from issue number 1 all the way through to issue number 100. And of course, just like in the original Turtle series back in the 80s, issue 100 ended with Cities at War. However, unlike the 80s series, with issue number 100, it led into the new chapter for the Turtles. There was a lot of twists, a lot of stuff that I don't want to spoil. This is a series I've been recommending since issue number 1. And to this day, I still recommend going back and checking out all of the hardcovers or all the trades. Trade paperback your way up to where we are at now, which I believe is issue 103 is the next book that's coming out, is the next issue that's coming out. It is a strong series that Tom Waltz and Kevin Eastman did. They recreated the universe of the Turtles, modernized it. There was the main series. There were a ton of miniseries that connected to stories going on in the main series. There was the micro series for the heroes, for the Turtles. There was the micro series for the villains. There was 2 Bebop and Rocksteady miniseries that I don't really feel like you had to read those. But again, they did, in their own way, connect to the Turtles. There were other ongoings. There was like April and Casey, where they were on a road trip. And this, again, pertained to a story going on in the main series. There was TMNT Universe, which was basically short stories and side stories going on at the same time as the main series was going on. Turtles, I could sit here and talk about the Turtles all day. The ups and downs that those poor Turtles went through. One thing I can say is I've never not recommended the series. For 103 issues, the only time the series had even the minorest of hiccups was when the art changed from the first artist to the second. And TMNT, they've gone through, there have been several artists that have gone through the Turtle series. The second artist, for some reason, it just took a while before it clicked with me. And that is the only reason why the Turtles went from my number 1 pick down to like my number 2 or 3. And it was mostly because of the art. The story itself still was very strong. Currently, Sophie Campbell, ever since issue 101, has been writing and drawing the series, and it is amazing. You don't even feel the change. It feels like Sophie Campbell caught what Tom Waltz and Kevin Eastman were doing, and I'm sure Kevin Eastman is still overseeing what Sophie Campbell is doing, but Tom Waltz is still doing the specials and the other stuff that's attached to Turtles right now. We also have a new Turtle, something that is brand new to the Turtle series, and that's Jennika, the 5th Turtle. She was human, was hurt really badly and dying, and to save her, basically, Leonardo chose to, she needed a blood transfusion, so Leonardo offered his blood to save Jennika, and in doing that, it mutated Jennika into another TMNT, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. So now the Turtles have a 5th member of their clan, and she fits in like a glove. She's only been around with the Turtles for a couple of issues, and already I'm loving her character. I'm loving the direction the Turtles are going in. You have characters that are from pre-100 that are still around. There's still things going on that connect back to previous stories. And that's why I say jumping on Turtles right now might be hard, maybe not. I would say if you wanted to jump onto Turtles right now without going back in time, start with issue 101. Otherwise, definitely trade paperback your way up to where the Turtles are at now. It's an amazing series, amazing artwork, and again, nostalgia. I watched the Turtles movies, the cartoons. Turtles have been a part of my life, I'd like to say, longer than my life in comic books. I've grown up with the Turtles more than any series that I mentioned, G.I. Joe, Transformers, Ghostbusters. The Turtles were always something I followed. The Turtles from New York City. Mutant Turtles, saving the day, fighting Shredder, fighting Krang, the Technodrome, all that other crazy stuff going on. So, yeah, Turtles definitely always gets that #1 spot because it has been the strongest series, in my opinion, out of all of IDW Publishing. And that was my top 5 from IDW Publishing. Again, this is all my opinion. Agree or disagree, I'd love to hear, if you read books from IDW Publishing, what your top 5 is. Also, I'd love to hear if, because of this top 5, you went out and checked out one of these books or got into one of these books. I love hearing that I introduced somebody to something new. And if you read any of these books, are any of these in your top 5? Is this your top 5, but maybe in a different order? Let me know in the comments below. But with that, that's it for this video. So as always, everybody, links in the description below to everything. You can follow me all across social media at Dark Avenger C86. That's Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, even though I never really use Tumblr. You could also check out my website, shootingstaruniverse.com. That's where everything goes. All of my videos on YouTube, all my social media, as well as exclusive written posts. With that being said, thank you all so much for being here. And as always, take care, keep reading, keep collecting, and I'll see all of you really soon in the next video.